Morning everybody, it's Saturday the 11th. We're off down to Acorn. It's another Ace of Acorn qualifier. I think this would be the 12th person to qualify if of course somebody who previously won it doesn't win it again. They're sort of like blockers now, so the longer it goes the harder it is to qualify for this thing. So it's becoming a bit of a thing with me, to be honest. So we'll get down there, have a bit of breakfast in the bridge as per usual, and then we'll get down there and hopefully get a good draw. It's lovely weather. I hope they're not spawning, but they might well be. They are spawning in a lot of places, but not going to complain. The weather's lovely in it, and let's hope we're bungo. Pellet across rig 0.2, so it's got a little bit of weight to it. It's a straight bulk at the moment, 4-inch hook length, size 20, 014 hook length. Got the same size 20, 014 hook length, 0.2 drenning, and I've made it down into a, as you can see, a jigger. I'm going to try that, and there's my stop, and that stops at about an inch off the bottom. That's 2 for across, 2 for down the middle, caster, straight caster rig there, dibber, and a jigger again. Something I don't do a lot of, so I wanted to have a go today. Same sort of format down there, slightly bigger band to put a caster in, 18, 014 hook length. I got a grey hydro, 4x12 carbon rube, that's for corn, top kit the short 4, then down the edge got a 0.4 Malmans, but I should have brought something a bit longer. I didn't realise how deep the edges were. Look at the depth of this edge. That's a good 2.5 foot in it. To the right is slightly shallower, but still deep. And that's another one, over 2 foot. So thanks for joining me, everybody. Sorry we haven't put anything on for a little while. I think it's been about 3 weeks, to be honest, which is a long time, isn't it? We've been down here once. Trying to think where we were. Oh, where were we? Oh, Peg 17, which is a really long reach, 16 metres plus. Sort of 16 metres.
and everything else I could sort of fit on the back of it really to get across. We had £99, but we failed really the last couple of hours. That was an Ace of Acorn qualifier as well. So fourth attempt. But this is also a practice for the Spring League next week. So really looking forward to that. We had a section win to start with, so can't get any better than that really. Weight wasn't massive. It was £115, but it was enough on the day in that section. So we've just gone down the edge, as you can see. We've got a stamp F1 there. As lovely as they are, it wasn't what I was hoping for, to be honest. But I've been keeping me on the results. It's been a little bit funny, really. The fish are just starting to thinking of spawning. One or two are. Um, yeah, so no more down the edge, so off across, looking for the stockies. Like 20 inches across, got me 0.2 float. White hydro. Gone up to a 0.14 hook length now, away from the 0.12. Especially in this peg, because down the middle of this bridge, unlike the others, there's actually the steel stanchions in the middle go right down to the bottom. So you've got to be a little bit careful. We're on the white hydro as usual. One or two people have been asking me why such light elastic, Bob, when you're looking for such big weights, why the white hydro? So we have, as we mentioned before, one or two things. You can fish a small hook, not get the hook pull, so I'm fishing a 20 hook. And when it comes down to double shipping like we are now, you're pulling that pole apart. You want something that's going to cushion that. You know, pole breakages happen with heavy elastics when you're unshipping poles more than once. And it's versatile. I can put on a heavier hook length if I want. If big fish start to appear, I can keep it on a lighter one. I'm not going to break on fish. And most importantly, as I've said before, when you go across, as you can see when I lifted into that fish, they swim out, you follow them out, then ship back, and the amount of time it takes me under my top kit to net the fish allows them to settle back across, believe it or not. If I fish a little bit heavier at the moment and go back across, I'm just there too soon. And all you do is kill it across. So that's the sort of reasoning behind that. That's some of the reasons. And presentation wise with that 0.2, I use a 3-inch hook length, so really short. Um, and I put my 4 number 10s right above that 3-inch hook length. So time you've put the two little loops together, it's 4 inches, isn't it? So I've got 4 number 10s above that, and you just push it into the board so the fish cannot get behind the floats. You can't get liners, or not too many anyway. You're cutting down the chances of. I mean, that's what it's all about, isn't it? It's percentages. So you get it into the boards, and with 4 number 10s, it swings in there quite nicely. And these stockies, more or less, that they hit the bait quite hard. They're competitive, etc. So that's how we do it to start with. Then later on, if we need to, we pull that bulk halfway up the rig and get a slower drop on that pellet if they start getting a bit sneaky. Then past that, you can start pushing the bulk right under the float and just have a completely free drop of the hook bait. So back to what we were sort of touching on with shotting patterns, you can also sort of string that shot out. If you do that, you are a little bit further away from the boards because it doesn't kick into the boards quite so well, but it is quite effective. You can just sort of drop it in. I find feeding a few less pellets and sort of dropping the rig in like that is generally better because you're trying to catch fish that are competing and off the bottom. But then there's feeding patterns. I generally just put a few pellets in there and try and draw 1 or 2 fish into the peg. See how they react to that. Sometimes if they start coming off, I'll fill the cab pot right up, drop those 4s in as fast as I can in sort of a clump if you like, and the fish can follow it down on the sort of bottom. You may wait a little longer for the bite, but it'll be a clean bite and you'll hook the fish in the mouth. Then there's also alternating between the 2 lines, or several lines as we are now. And then sort of, as I was saying, on the end, sort of on top of that, you can start, if you have to, start dripping a few micros in. They love micros down here. I think there's a lot of snake lakes that are very similar as well, but you've got to be a little bit careful with that, I will say. So that's a word of warning, really. If you start going too mad with the micros, you'll get plenty of fish in the peg, but they will be devils to catch. It's a bit like when you big pot ground bait down the edge, you can overdo it. So just be a little bit aware of that. Now all of a sudden from nowhere I got a load of scum across the far side, which has hampered me really. The rig isn't really heavy enough to swing through half of it, and also if I lift and drop, the float gets covered with it and I can't see. So a little bit earlier than I'd liked, I've had to come away from the far side at the moment and get on this shallow caster line. I mean, I'm glad I started feeding it earlier, but it does feel a little bit early to go onto it really. Oh, that's nice. That's a settler, isn't it? Does seem to be a lot of small fish in this peg today, but I did expect that when it's bright and it's a bridge peg, that can happen. One back across again, the caster line felt a little bit early and that scum in the way, and it hasn't really happened to cross. I can't see the float as I said earlier for that scum, so we had a quick look down the inside, nothing. So as you can see, I'm now feeding casters out into the open water. I am still flicking a few next to the bridge though, in hope we can flick off that cover later. And the skimmers are loving the caster, aren't they? Skimmers, Horacios, F1s, and we're getting an odd carp in between, which is, I'm happy with that. A day like today, just keep putting in the net really. It's all well and good if I went down the edge and caught an 8-pounder or so, but that isn't happening. So you've got to fish your peg. I can't keep stressing that enough, and I don't want to sound like a scratch record, but I've said that before, and that is how it is. It's no good looking at what other people are catching elsewhere. You've got to fish your peg, and my peg at the moment is yielding small fish in shallow water, and that's where we're trying to capitalise on them. I've had this peg a few times, haven't we? I think it's like the 3rd video I've done on this peg. It's not fantastic. It's a good peg, but it isn't brilliant. But the way it's going feels all right, to be honest. If we can catch a few big fish late, I think we'd be all right. Well, the wind's being very kind now. You can see a ripple on the water before it's sort of coming off me right shoulder a little bit. Wasn't really showing on the water and that, but it was blowing that scum into the peg. But now, as you can see, it's gone a little bit right to left. It's pushed that scum into the bridge a little bit. You can see it right in the corner over there on my board. So I think a cross is out of bounds at the moment. We're catching one or two down the middle, which is keeping us ticking over, which is great. Always feed the casters after you hook one, as you've seen. Any fish spooked or turned around will turn straight back round looking for those when they hear them. So it's something I have picked up on today. Whether it's due to conditions or the fish, how they are, I don't know. But you don't particularly want to throw the casters that accurate. That might sound a bit silly, but you want to sort of spread them. To catch these carp there where I am now, I'm spreading them, throwing once in one place, throwing once just next to it to the left or to the right, and I'm flicking my rig all around it, off to the left, off to the right. So trying to make use of that cover now. The bites have been tiny, I've missed a few bites, so we got the float dotted right down. The float is a Preston model, is sort of 0.15, so quite light. And they don't want a hard slap on the water either, it's more of just a little flick. This isn't pellet fishing, this is caster fishing, so. That's lovely fishing. Always keep feeding while you're playing the fish. Just remember when you're playing the fish, you're resting the line you're catching them from. So if you've got a line that you can throw bait onto, fantastic. Just keep trickling a bit in. Get some fish comfortable. Again, light elastic, take your time playing the fish. By the time you get back out there, there'll be another one or two waiting for you. And hopefully you'll get a nice, quick, easy fish. Timing in matches is everything. Small fish again, but lovely little fish. They put a few of these little ghosty mirrors in there. Absolutely fantastic fish they are. Fight like mad. They're going to be great when they get bigger. I can see some bigger fish being caught to my left down on the island, but Gareth on peg 4 and Simon on peg 5. Good pegs, good anglers. Not the combination I wanted today, really. We just got our head down, catch what we can. Doing really well, giving good accounts of themselves. It's lighter elastic. It's lovely fishing. But as I was saying, if I was fishing like a grey hydro, which is, massive, but if I was fishing that, yes, I could land the fish quicker, but I'd just go back out and be waiting for a fish a lot longer.
I know. It's the young ones the problem, isn't it? So they educate the older ones all right.
That's a better fish. It's one of the better fish we've had all day, isn't it? That's just sort of average, but we're catching well under average size, but nice fishing, and we're busy, and we're we're constantly putting in the net, so that's okay. Small carp, skimmers, big F1s, and odd Carasio, but they all add up, don't they? Just need a few late bonuses and just continue as we are, really. Just keep putting in the net. We've had some lovely F1s. We've had a few F1s up to sort of £4.5. Lovely fish. Again, the light elastic. I'm not saying, oh, take ages to land your fish, but what I'm saying is by using that light elastic, it takes you that little bit longer. You can use that lighter kit, especially when you're dealing with sort of a mixed amount of fish like skimmers and those Carasios. They can come off with heavier sort of kit. But by doing that, I'm lining my next fish up. So I'm hoping that when I go back in, by flicking those few casters out with my hand, that by the time we get back out there, there's another one waiting for us. And if there is, then again, you'll be playing it and feeding it, and your pole won't be sat over it for too long. It's all about timing. I mean, obviously, we've cut time out of the match, otherwise, you'd be sat here watching 6 hours of fishing. I think you get bored, to be honest, with the bits in between. But yeah, by constantly feeding and adjusting the rig has been really important today. Not feeding too accurately, flicking the rig a little bit all over the place, off the feed at times, off the back of the feed, in front of the feed. At times on top of the feed, but adjusting it depth wise, shotting wise has been really important. A little bulk above the hook length though, and sort of 10 inches deep when lots of fish have been there has been absolutely brilliant. But we have at times fished up to sort of 2 foot deep, strung the rig out, slow drop of the caster. The only thing is, I will admit as well, is the caster's been a little bit small. And when I flick the rig over, if I flick it over too aggressively, the caster comes out. But that hasn't been a bad thing today because they haven't really wanted it like that. They've just wanted that rig sort of just flicked over. Anything too aggressive, hitting the water too aggressive, they haven't wanted. No. As we may have mentioned earlier, it's a bit different than fishing pellets, isn't it? You've got to be a little bit cuter, a little bit more subtle. Not something I do much of really, but really enjoying it. Who wouldn't? Getting bite, getting bite after bite, and catching fish, lovely. So we're about 4 hours in, and caught plenty of these small carp. A little bit good to say that it was just this one little carp and a skimmer on the jigger, and same as it's been after those first couple of hours, really, it was a case of changing again. Which we said earlier, didn't we? You know, I thought, oh, the jigger dropping it down. I mean, you can't get much more natural than that, can you? If you get the pace right. Not that I'm an expert on it or do that much of it, but if you start lowering that bait down, then you sort of stop when you get to your float stop, and that um, your hook length, if you like, drops down naturally. Then the have out of it, and you've got to pick it back up, and it's on, isn't it? But even that can't maintain fish today. It's just so bright. They're so fickle. Definitely a day of chopping and changing. Really enjoying it though. Fantastic fishing. So the rig on that shallow caster is, like I said earlier, is that 0.15 Preston little sort of. I wouldn't call it a dibber. It's got like a little domed top for sure, but I wouldn't call it a dibber as such. Um, and then it's 018 main line, so not too thick, and an 014 hook length, but an 18 hook on this. You don't need a 20 on this. You want an 18. You want, you know, if that float goes, you really want every chance you've got of hooking them. We've had an odd suicidal fish today as well. Mainly carp, to be honest. You know, the F1s, crassios, and skimmers all give little tiny dinks. You're hitting them, and you are some of the carp, of course. But if it goes like it did then, and you're looking away and laughing and having a chat with somebody, and it goes, it's generally a carp. You're done with a little bit more of that. That's looking beautiful down here now, isn't it? All getting very green now. Love it everywhere. Soon we'll be down Sedges for the Top Kit League. Can't wait for that. And those reeds will be grown up each side of the peg now. You know, you'll stand up and they'll be taller than you. You won't be able to see anybody around you, and you'll just be sat there in your peg, fishing that 3 meters maximum. Love it. So most importantly, I've drawn in the section that I'll be on next week in the Spring League. So that's really good news. So I've had a good little look at this. Definitely going to purchase a few pints of casters. Um, Brain bait down the edge last two matches not been good, so may have to have a little rethink on that. So I'm forced back across. That caster line actually did go slow. Back over on the pellet. Quick bite there, just what we wanted. Just like we were starting the match again, really. The bulk right above that 3-inch hook length. Get in there, down at them. Nice and quick, nice and positive. That little bulk swinging into them boards as we lower the rig in. I'm thinking we've caught as many fish as anybody today. We've lacked a little bit of quality, probably caught more fish than most. But is it going to be enough?